All right. I believe I'm live. Am I live? I think I'm having some issues with the audio, but I think we're going to be good now. So thanks to those that are joining me live and to those that will be joining me on archive. The Keystone Pipeline, the biggest, baddest, pipeline of them all. Now, Keystone is already an existing pipeline, but it's the extension of it that's a problem. All right, it's already a problem as it is, but several reasons for that. They want to extend the Keystone Pipeline. By the way, you keep hearing for energy independence, right? Sure. Look, here's some problems with the Keystone Pipeline, right? They want to extend this shit all the way like to Texas, all right? From Canada, which is already starting from, all the way to Texas. Problems with that. Well, what are the problems when we need to build a pipeline? Okay, so let's go over them. Problem number one, obviously you need to build the pipeline, right? So when you build a pipeline, it's going to run through land. Now, when it runs through land, you're going to run into several issues. Okay, one of the main issues is private property. Right, you're going to run into property that belongs to a business owner, just someone who owns a home there, farmland, here I was going to say Arctic land, but nowhere near that. Agricultural land, and well, here's the thing, right? No one is just going to say, yeah, sure, go ahead and just dig up and just build away, right? Sure, just build a crude oil pipe right under my land. It's all good, right? So what do you need for that? You need eminent domain. And since you need eminent domain for that, and it's not really, the argument should be that it's for a public good, right? So let's say, you make the argument that, well, look, hey, yeah, we're going to have to use eminent domain. It's tough luck for those that own this land, but you know what? Hey, it's for the public good. All right, so what public good is this extension of the Keystone Pipeline going to do? Well, it's going to increase our oil independence by maybe 5%, a whopping 5%. Now you may say, hey, 5% is a lot. Well, is it really worth, just for that? Let's say you argue yes, right? Let's say you say, well, yeah, it is worth it, right? But see, the problem doesn't just end in just taking people's land or using their land against their will, using public land, taxpayer land, and devaluing the worth of that land. It's you have a bigger problem than just that, right? What are some other problems? Well, the major problem with this Keystone Pipeline run, the route of it anyway, it's going to travel over I believe it's called the Ogallala Aquifer. I can't really, Ogallala, I believe is the way you pronounce it, okay? But what it is basically is an underground lake, right? So usually these pipelines, they build them under the water, right? Which is a problem because if it leaks, right, it's going to fall into a lake, a river, a creek. Okay, it kills. It could kill animals. It can cause problems with drinking water for, in many cases, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, right? In this case, it's a bigger problem because it's twofold, right? Number one, it's underground, right? So if the pipeline were to leak, oil starts to drip down, right? From down to the soil, down to this underground lake, it's going to basically contaminate the water with this, with this chemical, so known as crude oil. About 20%, give or take, of America's agricultural harvest depends on this underground lake. 20%. If that were to happen, our agricultural economy would be affected dramatically. Okay, that would affect everybody. I mean, it just would, right? We're talking about everything that revolves around crops, vegetables, for example. See a dramatic increase in prices, for this harvest, right? Not to mention that this underground lake, I'm looking for the number here. It doesn't specify. I tried to look for it earlier, but it just says millions, right? It provides drinking water for millions of people across state lines. This is supposed to be running from South Dakota all the way down to Texas, and it's down through Kansas. So we're talking about a lot of drinking water here for a lot of people. And I don't know if building a pipeline above this underground lake is smart. I don't know if that is worth the risk. Well, I do, but you get what I'm saying. And the argument always is, well, it's going to provide jobs. Yeah, temporary jobs. That's what it's going to do. So tell me, D-Style, if these pipelines are so dangerous, which they are, well, why are they just building them then? Well, I don't know. Maybe because big oil has a stranglehold on just about 99%, give or take, of politicians over there in Washington. Maybe that's why. That's a problem. It's not worth building this pipeline over something that's already secure. It's already secure. It's underground. The reason we should be building a pipeline over it, because if it leaks, and I don't care how safe they say they're going to make it, these pipes leak all the time. So I don't care how safe they claim it's going to make it. It can leak or burst or explode the day after they build it. It can be a year after. It could be 20 years after. Maybe your grandkids, when they're older, are going to have to deal with this shit. But it's just not worth it. Think about this. 20% of our agriculture depends on this underground lake. And millions of people are provided drinking water from this underground lake. Why the fuck would you build a crude oil pipeline over it? For this myth that it's going to create energy independence, you'd always use the let's say it was true argument. Because first of all, just to make matters worse, it's not true. It's not going to provide us with energy independence, okay? In fact, this oil is coming from Canada. Oil companies don't want to pay truckers, and they don't want to pay to put them on trains and stuff like that, right? They don't want to move it in boats because they want to save a buck. They want to use public land, private land, paying for it. It's not going to be for the public good. It's going to be for their good. And on top of all that, it's going to put our water system in jeopardy. Which to me, drinking water is just, it's simply non-negotiable. 20% of our agriculture in jeopardy. You know, you have to really think about this. But let's say it was true. Let's say that this pipeline, because of this pipeline, we're going to get energy independent. It's not true, but let's say it was. It's really worth the drinking water of millions of people. Put a pipeline over drinking water. Can't get a Mother Nature couldn't have blessed people with a safer system of drinking water underground. And we're going to be stupid enough to build a pipeline over it of crude oil. Now, the politicians and the people responsible for building this pipeline, even if you go to their website, they have a website, they will tell you how safe it is, how they're going to use the latest and greatest technology to build this pipeline, ensuring everybody that it will not burst. It's going to be the latest and greatest of technology. We're going to have the latest and greatest of workers that are going to build the most secure pipeline imaginable. You know what's more secure than the latest and greatest pipeline? No pipeline, right? None. So they should stick this pipeline up their ass, right? And go ahead and go build something else. Like just you're gonna have to spend more money to transport this oil because it's not worth our drinking water. It's not. So that's the danger with this pipeline, this extension they want to put in the Keystone Pipeline, the one that Donald Trump signed. The story is not as juicy as the one in North Dakota because of the Native Americans. They're trying to use their land and they're threatening their water, and because of the protest and stuff like that, that's gotten a lot of attention. The Keystone Pipeline is a very quiet pipeline. People, up in arms about it because they just don't know what the fuck is going on. People don't know that this pipeline is being built right above an underground lake that provides drinking water for millions of people, right? And it's responsible for 20% of our agriculture. People don't know that. Know that it's only going to, increase our energy, quote unquote, independence by just 5%. Have no impact at the gas pump for you. It's not gonna decrease oil prices. It's not gonna do any of that. What? For the oil companies to make an extra buck. That's all this is about, right? How do they get eminent domain? They pay the politicians, man. Okay, let's just follow the money. Anytime some of this shit is voted on, what happens? They vote in favor of the oil companies. They do it here in Texas all the time. Okay, Governor Abbott's in bed with the fucking oil companies. He's best friends with the fucker who's Secretary of State right now and shit. And then the politicians, they're giving money. And here's the thing. Let's say you're a congressman, all right? Republican or Democrat, I don't give a fuck, right? Let's say you're a congressman and the oil companies gave you money when you ran for office, right? Congressmen run every 2 years, senators every 6. Let's use an example of a congressman. Let's say that a congressman stands up, which is, why do you think they don't stand up and just tell people about this? Because if they stand up and they say anything, then guess what's going to happen just 1 year from now? The oil company is going to have someone else run against them in the primary they're going to fund that individual. What happens with money in politics, especially at the level of with congressmen? Over 90% of the time, the person with the most money wins the election. Right? That's all it is. These motherfuckers are puppets. They spend all their time in the phone bank calling donors for 2 fucking years for the next re-election. That's all they fucking do. Right? Their job is to make sure these pipelines get passed so they can get more money for the next re-election. That's all it is. All right? Donald Trump, I mean, he has investments with Phillips 66, with Energy Transfers, which are the ones creating DAPL over there. He has investments with oil companies in general. His cabinet, right, is filled with oil fucking hacks. His fucking Secretary of State, who just got confirmed, CEO of ExxonMobil. Of course, they're going to be approving these pipelines. Of course, they're going to say, yeah, these pipelines are fine. Oh, don't worry. They're going to create jobs. A bunch of temporary jobs. When it's complete, you're going to be out of a job, motherfucker. All right? But anyway, that's that. All right? I'm out.